Six of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few hitters I would look to buy low and trade for. The first guy is Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Betts, he was obviously a top 3 pick in most fantasy leagues. And so far, he's off to a tough start. 32 for 124, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, a 258 batting average, and a 370 on-base percentage with 19 runs scored. So Betts, he's been in a tough slump so far this season. We've seen a couple flashes out of him with big games, but so far he's not living up to that 12-year, $365 million contract in his second year of this deal. So Betts, I know he's going to get things going. Right now around the league, a lot of hitters are struggling so far in the early going, especially in fantasy baseball, where a lot of managers are frustrated and they don't want to wait longer. So right now, while Betts has a low batting average and only 4 home runs, this is the best time to go out there and try to make a trade for him while his value's pretty low. The last few games for him: May 8th at the Angels, 2 for 3 with 2 runs and 4 RBIs. May 4th at the Angels, 0 for 3. May 11th, 1 for 4. And May 12th versus Seattle, 1 for 5. So right now, he's not hitting the baseball well. He's not really getting things going in the power department as well. And he's an easy buy low candidate, in my opinion. Right now, you still probably have to pay a decent price for him. But obviously, you're not going to pay a huge price for him like you did early in the season. So he would be a guy I definitely would look to target and buy low this week. The second guy I would look to buy low and trade for this week, Marcel Ozuna of the Atlanta Braves. So Marcel Ozuna, what a season he had last year in Atlanta in his first season with the Braves, where he batted .338 with 18 home runs in only a 2-month span. But so far this season, it's been a tough season out of the gates for him. 29 of 142, 5 home runs, 21 RBIs, 13 runs scored, a 204 batting average, and only a 276 on-base percentage. In the last couple weeks here, he's been really struggling, is Ozuna. 5 for 25 from the plate, so he's not really getting anything going. The power numbers are down as well. But last season, I think it was fluky as well that he batted .338 on the season here was Marcel Ozuna. I think he's got to get things going and pick things up a little here. But I think he definitely will. He got a nice 4-year contract from the Braves in the offseason. And like I said, these guys, as the summer months approach here, they're going to get hot and start hitting the baseball out of the ballpark and in the gaps. And I think Ozuna is another one of those guys, like the rest of this Atlanta Brave team, that's off to a slow start, but will get things going. The last few games for him: May 8th versus Philly, 0 for 5. May 9th versus Philly, 0 for 4. May 11th versus Toronto, 1 for 4 with a homer. And May 12th versus Toronto, 1 for 4. And so far today versus Toronto, it was a 1 o'clock ball game. He's 0 for 2 from the plate, but I think he'll break out of the slump. And right now, where you could get him on the cheap, this is definitely a time I would go out there and make a deal for Ozuna. The next state is Eugenio Suarez of the Cincinnati Reds. So Suarez this season, he changed positions from third base to shortstop, and it's been a horrible start for Suarez on the season. 20 of 128, 6 home runs, which is still pretty decent 6 weeks in, 16 RBIs, but a 156 batting average, 50 strikeouts, which is a huge number right now, and 238 on base percentage, 16 runs scored. So right now, Suarez, he's not doing much, and it's a poor batting average, obviously. To bat 156 here in the first 6 weeks of the season, and I think the cause of that is switching positions, where he's not concentrating and he's more focusing on his defense. The power, and we know the upside that Suarez has in fantasy baseball, removed from a 49 home run season a couple seasons ago, and even last season he had 15 home runs but a 202 batting average. So right now he's way under the Mendoza line, batting 156, but in my opinion, it's only up from here for Eugenio Suarez. And the last few games for him: May 10th at Pittsburgh, 1 for 4 with a homer. May 11th at Pittsburgh, 2 for 4. And then yesterday at Pittsburgh, 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. So he contributed to fantasy owners 2 out of the last 3 games. And now him and the Cincinnati Reds start a series at the Colorado Rockies here today, a 4-game set. And I think Suarez definitely could break out and really have a huge week here with the series in Coors Field. Obviously, a hitter's haven over there. And right now, you don't got to give up much to get Suarez. Maybe a decent starting pitcher or maybe just a decent hitter that you don't expect to do much could get you Suarez in a deal with that 156 average. The next hitter is Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies. So last season, we saw Blackmon off to a slow start. And once again this season, he's off to that slow start. 26 of 115, 2 home runs, 20 RBIs, 12 runs scored, only a 226 batting average, and a 331 on base. So Blackmon, I think his 30 home run seasons are probably done for him, but the batting average should be way higher. And the good thing about him, he's still putting the ball in play. He's just not getting hits out of it with only 16 strikeouts and 115 at-bats. So that's a pretty good ratio and a good number, especially nowadays. And I think Blackmon, he'll be fine. He's putting the ball in play. He's just got to find the holes sometimes here is Blackmon. And he's definitely a buy low candidate. So the last few games here for Blackmon. May 8th at St. Louis, 3 for 4 with a run and 2 RBIs. May 9th at St. Louis, 1 for 3. May 11th, 0 for 4 with an RBI. May 12th, 2 for 7 with a run score. So he's definitely struggling. But we've seen some hope out of him as well over the last few games, where he had a 3-hit game on May 8th. So Blackmon, I think it's a few weeks of a struggle, and he's going to wake up and really get things going, I believe, for fantasy owners and this Rocky team. And right now is a perfect time to go out there and buy him low. And the fifth and final hitter I would look to buy low and trade for is Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. So Manny Machado so far in his third year of his 10-year contract here with the Padres, he's off to a slow start, 31 of 137, 5 home runs, 22 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, 226 batting average, but still a 327 on base percentage. Even with the low batting average, he's still 100% points over from average to on base, so that's a good ratio. And Machado, we know he's a guy that could really go on a hot streak, especially in the last few months of the season, and get things going. And we've seen this with him a lot in Baltimore, where he would get off to slow starts and then still finish the season with a 290 to 300 batting average with 30-plus home runs. So Machado, it's just an early season struggle in my opinion, and he's going to pick things up and really be a big fantasy player as the season goes on and for the rest of the season, in my opinion. So right now is a perfect time to pounce on him and get him on your fantasy roster before he breaks out and it's too late to get him on a discount. So the last few games here for Machado: May 8th at San Francisco, 1 for 3. May 9th at San Francisco, 1 for 5 with a run. May 11th, he had a big ball game at Coors Field, 2 for 4 with a homer, 5 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. And then at Coors Field last night, 0 for 6 with a stolen base. So Machado, it's been slumping a little here and there, but I think he's going to break out and have a huge next couple weeks here to get his batting average up and get things going for this Padre team and fantasy owners. But right now, while he's hitting 226, it's a perfect time to buy Machado low. So that's a few hitters I would look to buy low and try to trade for here in week 6 of the fantasy baseball season.